How's it going? Welcome back to the show. This is You May Roscoe, and I am Roscoe. And today we're going to be doing a reaction to a video. This is called 10 Things You Didn't Know About the Red Bellied Black Snake. And this is what we'll be checking out. Before we do that, I do want to ask for anybody who hasn't that they please subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure you hit the notification bell. Also, make sure that you go over to Wicked Wildlife because that's where we're getting this video from. So make sure that you go over to Wicked Wildlife and subscribe and hit the notification bell because we do want to support the people that we're getting the content from. And this was a video that was suggested by Robert Shields, aka my dog, my man's in them, Shieldsy. So Shieldsy, I want to say thank you, much love to you, brother. I appreciate you big time, and we're gonna rock this out for you and everybody else out there. So, yeah, no, the red-bellied black snake. I did a video to one of these videos that I was talking about, the red-bellied black snake. There was another guy. His name is Andrew Euclides, if I'm saying his last name correctly. But he was messing around with that snake, and it just looked way uncomfortable for me, to see him like living so dangerous. And even this dude, he's just messing with this thing. And from that last video, these things are like highly venomous, So I don't know what he's doing and why he's doing it, but we're gonna find out. Let's go. Let's get it.
G'day, g'day. It's Nicky and welcome to Wicked Wildlife. Now, if you've been watching our videos for very long at all, you'll know this guy here. This is Brutus, our red-bellied black snake, who's quickly become a real star of the channel. But our red belly video from several years ago is also one of our most popular videos out to date. And in this video, I thought I'd share with you 10 facts, some of which haven't made it into our original red-bellied black snake video, which I think you might not know. So in this video, we're sharing 10 facts about the red-bellied black snake you don't know. Stick around, guys. Now, before we get into it, there is one message I'd like to put out there to all the would-be snake enthusiasts. Now, while it's great that you like snakes, and while I totally agree that the vast majority of snakes aren't the mean animals we make them out to be, here in Australia and around the rest of the world, a single bite could be fatal. So this is not a video designed to give you any ideas of how to handle snakes, and Brutus here is not a wild snake. He's a captive-born animal used in educational displays every single day of his life. So he is a friendly snake. Wild snakes out there, they're not out to get you, but a single slip-up could be your last. So leave the snake handling to the professionals, sit on down, and enjoy our 10 facts. Let's get into it.
I'm glad he said all that. I'm glad he said all that. That answered like a lot of questions for me. Because the way he was handling this thing, just kind of loosey-goosey, willy-nilly. I'm just like, okay, like he talking about how dangerous they are, but he just handling this thing like it's his best friend. But it just may be, because he said this thing has been captive. So he's he's a house snake. He's not a field snake. So I'm sorry, I got caught up in thinking about some other stuff, but yeah, no, totally a house snake, not a field snake. So let's go.
Number 1. The red-bellied black snake is actually the first venomous snake in Australia to have been described by Western science, even though it wasn't the first one observed. You see, back in 1790, John White, who was a naturalist who was aboard the first fleet, described a snake that matches the description of the eastern brown, but he never formally gave it a name. Whereas 4 years later, George Shaw, another zoologist, wrote a formal description of the red-bellied black snake, introducing it to Western science. However, in his original description, he describes it as a harmless, non-venomous species, which simply isn't true. So while at first we thought it was a non-venomous snake, it turns out it is the first venomous snake described by Western science here in Australia. Number 2. The red-bellied black snake was briefly put in the genus Naya, making it a cobra. You see, in the 1790s, we might have thought it wasn't a venomous species, but it didn't take us long to figure out that wasn't really the case. Over the next 50 years, there was a lot of debate about exactly what family this snake fitted into, and one German zoologist briefly placed the red-bellied black snake and its cousin, the king brown or mulga snake, in the genus Naya, which makes them cobras. Now, of course, today we know that this isn't the case. They are elapids just like cobras, but they're not actually cobras. So today, the black snake family is what they fit into. But for a period of a few years' time, some zoologists thought that here in Australia, we had a couple of species of cobra, the red-bellied black snake among them. Number 3, the red-bellied black snake was once believed to be sexually dimorphic. Now, sexual dimorphism is basically where males and females look visibly different, so generally different colours in the case of reptiles. And this sounds crazy considering the red-bellied black snake is one of the only snakes in Australia that has very little variation in colour. But early herpetologists here in Australia accidentally mistook eastern brown snakes for a female form of the red-bellied black snake. So in early records, we thought that these guys were sexually dimorphic, with the males being black with red bellies and the females being plain brown. Of course, today we know that's not the case, but briefly, we thought that red-bellied black snakes were sexually dimorphic. Number 4.
Okay. And actually, all of these details are going to be like new to me, so everything that he's saying to me is like, wow. And I haven't heard of this stuff, folks. So there's going to be that, so I don't know how many people out there that's going to be the case for, but I can't imagine there's like a ton of snake enthusiasts, as he called them, that's out there, but I could be wrong. You know what I mean? Like, I know that I knew a dude, who he had a pet snake. He had like a boa constrictor, something crazy, so crazy huge, and used to feed it like live mice. You could buy mice that you specifically feed them to the snakes and all that. But yeah, no, he did all that. But yeah, I don't know none of this stuff. So this is all new. But let's push it back and let's
case of reptiles. And this sounds crazy considering the red-bellied black snake is one of the only snakes in Australia that has very little variation in colour. But early herpetologists here in Australia accidentally mistook eastern brown snakes for a female form of the red-bellied black snake. So in early records, we thought that these guys were sexually dimorphic, with the males being black with red bellies and the females being plain brown. Of course, today we know that's not the case, but briefly, we thought that red-bellied black snakes were sexually dimorphic. Number 4, the red-bellied black snake gives birth to live young. Now, this might not sound that crazy, because a lot of our snakes in the southern part of Australia, like tiger snakes and copperheads, also give birth to live young. But what makes the red belly unique is it comes from a family or a genus, the black snake family, where all of its close relatives lay eggs. Now, the real benefit to giving birth to live young in a cold climate anyway is that if you lay eggs, you're relying on one place being warm enough, dry enough, the right humidity and temperature for eggs to incubate. Whereas giving birth to live young, you get to carry the embryos inside your belly from warm place to warm place, meaning that live-bearing reptiles generally do far better in cold, wet climates than their egg-laying counterparts. And this has enabled the red belly to live in habitats that all the other black snakes don't thrive in. Number 5, the red-bellied black snake is actually responsible for about 16% of snakebite here in Australia. Now, this was calculated between the years of 2005 and 2015 by scientists running what we now know as the Australian Snakebite Project. And interestingly, this was almost the exact same amount of bites as the tiger snake, who is the second most common cause of snakebite death in Australia. So while the same number of people were bitten by red bellies versus tiger snakes, we had 4 deaths from tiger snakes in that 10-year period and 0 from red bellies. In fact, we can't find any records of a healthy adult human being having been killed by a red-bellied black snake. Now, this isn't to say that it's not medically significant, not venomous enough to kill you, but thanks to modern first aid, anti-venom, things like this, the red-bellied black snake is not really on the list of snakes likely to kill a human being here in Australia. One study that I found interesting, though, is that in New South Wales, vets found that the red-bellied black snake is the snake most likely to bite and envenomate dogs. Now, as a general rule of thumb, these snakes are fairly uninclined to bite, but whether this is because these guys are being sought out by dogs and basically caught and put in a situation where they've got no choice to bite, whereas something like a brown snake might be quicker to get out of the way, the red-bellied black snake is responsible for more pet bites in New South Wales than any other species, whilst as far as people, it comes second to things like the brown snake and a smidge behind the mainland tiger. Number 6, red-bellied black snake bites are pretty painful bites, especially as far as Australian snakes go. You see, the vast majority of Australian snakes are strongly neurotoxic. They shut down the nerve system, but it's largely painless. Red-belly bites cause an awful lot of local pain, swelling, and it can even cause necrosis, basically loss of the digits, and in some black snakes, loss of a limb. On top of that, red-bellied bites...
Damn, that's scary. That's scary right there. I'm gonna push it back just a little bit, but man, it make you lose your feeling in your fingers and in your leg. Like that's crazy. Let's keep it going.
Tiger. Number 6, red-bellied black snake bites are pretty painful bites, especially as far as Australian snakes go. You see, the vast majority of Australian snakes are strongly neurotoxic. They shut down the nerve system, but it's largely painless. Red-belly bites cause an awful lot of local pain, swelling, and it can even cause necrosis, basically loss of the digits, and in some black snakes, loss of a limb. On top of that, red-belly bites experience things like headache, nausea, vomiting, and a really unusual feature from red-belly bites is some people experience what we call anosmia, meaning loss of sense of smell, which can either be temporary or even permanent. And this is recorded not just in the red belly, but in their other black snake cousins, like the Collette's black snake as well. So a painful bite that causes some very unusual side effects. Number 7, red-bellied black snake bites are treated using tiger snake antivenom. Now, there is a black snake antivenom, and it can be used to treat the red-bellied black snake bite, but it's made using the venom from a king brown or a mulga snake. Partially because he gives more venom in a bite than any other snake in Australia, so you don't need to keep too many of them, and because it's representative of the bites of most of the other black snakes. Now, it can be used to treat a red-bellied black snake, but tiger snake antivenom, when it's used instead, needs a lot less of it, which means it's not only more cost-effective, but the less you have, the less chances you have of any significant side effects. So if you're bitten by a red-bellied black snake, plan A is to give people tiger snake antivenom. You need less of it, so it's cheaper and it's safer.
Okay.
Number 8, the red-bellied black snake is famous for being a snake eater. And because of this, a lot of people in rural Australia say if the red-bellied black snake's around, he's a good snake to have because he's going to eat up all the brown snakes and you don't have to worry about them. And while this is partially true, it's only partially true. You see, the vast majority of the red-bellied black snake's diet is things like frogs. They'll also take things like skinks, dragons, other lizards, other venomous snakes, even other red-bellied black snakes, as well as mice and things like this. So yes, he will eat some snakes, including venomous snakes. But a 4-foot red-bellied black snake like this guy here isn't going to eat a 5-foot eastern brown snake. In fact, there's just as many records of brown snakes eating black snakes, but this guy is known to be a snake eater. He'll eat pretty much whatever he can find, snakes included.
Wow.
Number 9. While the red-bellied black snake is one of the most commonly encountered snakes throughout southeastern Australia, in many places its population is decreasing, and this is for a couple of reasons. The first one is habitat type. These guys are generally associated with waterways, damp places where they can live off, at least for the first part of their life, things like frogs. And unfortunately, we're draining a lot of wetlands and the country's drying out, which means that a lot of red belly habitat is simply changing. On top of this, frog populations have plummeted in huge parts of Australia, whether it's from pesticide use, introduced diseases, things like this. Their food source is becoming absent from large places. Now, while one food source is disappearing, there's another food source that's arrived, and this one's not a good one, and that is, of course, the cane toad. And throughout parts of their range, red bellies have been massively reduced in numbers by cane toads, mostly on sort of the invasion front. Wherever they first arrive, the numbers of anything that eats them plummets, and they recover later on. So, for a number of reasons, red-bellied black snakes overall are probably declining population-wise. And lastly, number 10. While cane toads have certainly had a...
Let me stop this. Push it back just a little bit. Let's do that. And let's go ahead and try to finish this out. But pretty interesting facts up to this point, about this snake. So let's hear this last
Overall, are probably declining population-wise. And lastly, number 10. While cane toads have certainly had a fairly dramatic impact on red-bellied black snakes since their arrival, in less than 100 years, the red belly has showed a remarkable ability to adapt and evolve to the presence of these invasive amphibians. You see, in the areas that cane toads have been the longest, we've found that red-bellied black snakes have evolved physiologically. They've actually adapted a certain level of tolerance to cane toad toxin. Not enough to go eating them as much as they like, but enough that they might eat them, get sick, and learn their lesson. They've also changed physically in areas where they've been exposed to cane toads for a very long time. The populations have heads that are smaller than other parts of the country and bodies that are longer, which means they can now only eat a smaller toad, which is potentially a sublethal dose. They've also changed behaviorally, and in captivity we've found that snakes that have came from areas where cane toads have already been, when they're offered a cane toad in captivity, seem to be naturally sort of hesitant to eat them, whereas snakes from south of their range have no worry about eating cane toads. They'll eat it and they'll die. They haven't learnt the lesson. So red-bellied black snakes, while they're certainly something we need to look after, we certainly need to be aware that cane toads and habitat loss and population changes in frogs are having an impact. As far as cane toads goes, these guys might be getting over the hump and adapting to one of our human mistakes. So there you go, guys. That's 10 interesting facts about the red-bellied black snake that I think most of you guys wouldn't have known. But you let me know in the comments, how many of these facts were new to you? How many did you know? Or what other facts is there that you think I should have posted down instead? But on top of that, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you've learned something. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, leave us a comment, all that sort of stuff. But check on back next week because there is lots more wildlife content coming. Between now and then, be nice to snakes, leave them alone, but I'll see you next week. Have a good one and take care.
All right, cool. So let's push this back. That's a cool shot. All right. So that was 10 things you didn't know about the red-bellied black snake. And like I said, I didn't know any of these things beforehand. I'm not I'm not a snake person. I'm just not. Um, and this is a this was a good video, because I do, I'm one of those people that like to watch, wildlife kind of stuff and like to see nature and the things in nature and how they operate, you know. But yeah, no, some of these facts that he mentioned, the fact that this snake can eat, a lot of different other type of reptiles and stuff like that, including its own, little subspecies, if you want to call it that. But yeah, no, that is crazy. I wouldn't trust that thing. Like a black snake that eats other black snakes. That's one thing I've never heard of. I've never heard of like a python eating a python, or any other type of snake eating the same thing, that subspecies, So yeah, no, it's just odd to hear that, and the birthing of live, snakes, because I knew the snakes laid eggs. I didn't know that they could birth. I don't even see how, like, where would it like where would I don't even know how where the eggs would come from. I just know that they have. I don't know, like, if they have some little hole somewhere that all of this stuff is coming out from, but apparently they do, But yeah, no, just some cool stuff, for those who want to be in the know about the red-bellied black snake. You can come here, or just go to this guy and his channel, and check out this type of stuff. But this was cool. This was cool. I'm with it. So I'm gonna leave, but before I do, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the share button, hit the playlist option or options. You'll pick the ones named entertainment reactions and shocking videos reactions. Two different playlists. And you'll see this in both along with everything else that's in those playlists. I do have playlists for other things. A lot of that stuff is music related, but as you can see, we do other things. So check out all of the playlists. Cash App, $ you made Roscoe, PayPal at you made Roscoe. Super thanks option is available for those who like to show their support or appreciation for what's being done on the page. Any donations will be made to any of those spots. And that's it. That's all I'm done. So I will see you guys again soon. So until next time, be safe and be good.